I'm Christopher Gall.
And I'm Lucia Chappelle.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending August 15th, 2020. Queensland became the first Australian state to outlaw conversion therapy on August 13th, and a few other jurisdictions in the country are following the lead of its legislative assembly. Conversion therapy is the widely discredited practice that claims to change a queer person's sexual orientation or gender identity. At least in the Western world, virtually every professional medical and mental health organization has condemned it as a waste of time at best. More often, it's a psychologically traumatizing experience for its victims. Queensland Health Minister Stephen Miles calls it harmful, deceptive, and unethical, and told Parliament that being LGBTIQ is not an affliction or disease that requires medical treatment. Convictions carry 12 months in prison, or 18 months if the victim is under 18 years of age. Opponents, like the Australian Christian lobby, complained that the bill would turn doctors into criminals. However, survivors of the quack therapy are worried because the legislation only applies to healthcare professionals. Two survivor advocate organizations said in a joint statement that the bulk of the harm occurs over time in informal settings, not in therapeutic contexts. In most of those cases, the alleged conversion has a religious component, which critics call trying to pray the gay away. A bill to ban conversion therapy for minors was introduced this week in the Australian Capital Territory. The state government in Victoria began public consultations in October on similar legislation.
That horrendous August 4th explosion in Beirut that killed hundreds and injured thousands decimated the city's queer neighborhood and at least two of its organizations. The blast left an estimated 300,000 homeless, including thousands of LGBTQ people. Almost 3 tons of highly volatile ammonium nitrate had been unsafely stored for 6 years in the city's port area. Lebanon's entire government resigned in the face of massive street protests in the aftermath of the explosion. They had already faced heavy criticism for corruption and a crumbling economy. Lebanon's leading queer advocacy group is Helm, the Arab world's first LGBTQ rights organization. Their offices, almost half a mile from the epicenter of the explosion, were reduced to rubble. Helm's executive director, Tarek Zedan, said, "Nothing much of inside the center remains. Doors, windows, fixtures, furniture, everything was blown out." He says that several staff members were hospitalized, but was thankful that no lives were lost. Zedan declared, "We are going to survive, and the center will survive." Proud Lebanon is a smaller queer rights group in Beirut whose offices were also badly damaged. Some staff members were seriously injured, according to the queer advocacy group All Out. Fundraising efforts are underway by members of Lebanon's queer expat community in the UK through a GoFundMe page. The global queer rights group Outright Action International is also raising funds to support Helm's rebuilding efforts and to help countless LGBTIQ people who have been left homeless.
Transgender rights advanced in 2 U.S. federal courts this week. A ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit upheld a lower court decision against a Florida school district that had denied a trans male student access to the boys' restrooms. Drew Adams was attending Alan D. Nease High School in Ponte Vedra in 2017 when he filed suit represented by Lambda Legal. He's now 19 and a student at the University of Central Florida. Adams said in a statement released by Lambda that he was very happy to see justice prevail and that high school is hard enough without having your school separate you from your peers and mark you as inferior. That was on August 7th, and the same day, the U.S. District Court of Idaho rejected the state's refusal to allow transgender residents to change their birth certificate gender designations. The same court took similar action in 2018, but the Republican-dominated state legislature tried to get around that ruling. Lambda Legal also represented the 2 transgender Idahoans who jumped to file the successful lawsuit. A press release issued by the queer legal advocacy group said that the court could not have been clearer. What was discriminatory in 2018 remains discriminatory today. Lambda accused the Idaho legislature and Republican Governor Brad Little of trying to deny the very existence of transgender people by stripping them of their identity.
A set of 2 recent public opinion polls commissioned by the conservative Jamaica Observer newspaper yielded discouraging results for LGBTQ people in the Caribbean nation. 93% of respondents support the colonial-era laws that criminalize private consensual adult gay sex. Buggery is an antiquated term for sodomy. A section of the Offenses Against the Person Act punishes buggery with up to 10 years in prison at hard labor. The surveys were conducted March 12th through 15th and July 9th through 12th. 1,200 voting-age Jamaicans were asked if they wanted that law to be changed. Only 3% in March and 5% in July said yes. The sampling error is 2.5%. Jamaican government officials have been discussing a public super-referendum for such socially contentious issues as homosexuality and abortion since 2016. No concrete steps have been taken as yet to initiate such a vote.
Former U.S. Vice President and presumptive nominee Joe Biden's choice of California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate made the Democratic Party's presidential ticket the most queer-supportive in history. Harris is the daughter of immigrant parents, a Jamaican father and an Indian mother, born in Oakland, California. She's the first woman of color on a major political party ticket. Echoing the racist, Trump-fueled birther attacks on Barack Obama, Republican operatives are already circulating the absurd theory that Harris is not eligible to hold the office because she's not a U.S. citizen by birth. The new Democratic duo acknowledged the fight for queer equality in their first joint appearance. Biden praised Harris for being an early voice for marriage equality. Harris praised all those in the streets fighting for racial justice, including, in her words, the LGBTQ Americans who know that love is love, and those who are saying that, yes, Black Lives Matter. Virtually every major U.S. queer rights group praised the Biden-Harris ticket. They're already salivating with anticipation over the presidential debates, pitting Biden against liar-in-chief Donald Trump. Veteran queer Democratic activist Richard Socarides also predicts that Harris will eat Mike Pence alive at their vice presidential debate and spit him out on the floor, as he deserves. And the cherry on top of a White House filled with LGBTQ allies in January would be the highly regarded Haitian-American lesbian political operative Karine Jean-Pierre as Vice President Harris's chief of staff.
Finally, the U.S. Post Office has released the first depiction of drag on a U.S. postage stamp.
Yeah. What's up, Doc?
The San Francisco-based Bay Area Reporter was first to report that Bugs Bunny is in drag in 2 of the 10 new stamps featuring the cartoon rabbit. The series was released on July 27th, the 80th anniversary of the Wascally Wabbit's debut in A Wild Hare. One of the new stamps shows Bugs as a mermaid in blonde wig and ruby red lipstick from one of his Merry Melodies Warner Brother cartoons. The other has Bugs with blonde braided tresses and a gold-winged headpiece as the Brunhilde of Richard Wagner's Siegfried in the classic 1957 animated satire What's Opera, Doc?, with Elmer Fudd as the heroic lead. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and his sycophantic followers are trying to completely gut the U.S. Postal Service. He even admits that his hand-picked Postmaster General is working to undermine this November's presidential election, most of which will need to be conducted by mail because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Bugs Bunny series are forever stamps, so if the Postal Service and the rest of us survive Donald Trump, there'll forever be enough postage for first-class mail of 1 ounce or less. You can get the series online at usps.com/bugsbunny80.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude for the week ending August 15th, 2020. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is recording remotely during the COVID-19 emergency, but is still being written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast, and much more.
And you can listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out Radio YouTube channel. For This Way Out, I'm Lucia Chappelle. Stay healthy.
And I'm Christopher Gall. Stay safe.